Do you think that's a good idea? Reduce taxes in all brackets. That's what Donald Trump's talking about.
I will say it's a complex system. If you ask my sort of general opinion, independent of the facts,
right.
In the long run, I do think it's nice if the budget balances. And there are a lot of ways to get the budget to balance.
All right. That was former Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer saying that he'd be open to tax cuts, but for one thing, he doesn't need one. He's worth $24 billion. Neither probably does this next guest of mine, the Home Depot co-founder Bernie Marcus. But Bernie, one of the things that Ballmer was indicating was that, hey, you know, we do have this deficit and we do have this nearly $20 trillion in debt, and there's only so much we can do. I reminded him, good thing, because it looks like the tax cut, presumably for the upper income, won't pan out to be a tax cut, that with deduction cutoffs and the like, they'll end up paying more. What do you make of all this?
Well, I think that the wealthy should pay more. I mean, it's not an issue for me, frankly.
But they already do, right? They already do pay more.
Well, they already pay the majority. So, but let's go back to the real issue. Trump was voted in for one reason only, and that's because the Democrats forgot that working America is suffering, that these people out there who are working for jobs have had less money in their payroll for the last 8 years. Their expenses have gone up with Obamacare and everything else. And, you know, when they come up with a program, it's going to be geared to them. That's number one. Number two, now we know that there are about, what I think the number, Neil, is 95 million people out of the workforce. And I think that we need to create jobs in America. So whatever the tax cut, whatever this tax program is going to be, and by the way, it's going to go through the House, it's going to go through the Senate, and Trump will be involved with it. I think that all of their focus is, based on the conversations I've had with them, is get America working again, get people back in jobs, repatriate the money that's sitting overseas that could be creating jobs here. And I think that when you see the final tax code, it's going to be based on that. Now, one of the things that I would love to see is Schumer, who I thought is a pretty smart guy. Nancy Pelosi, maybe not so bright, but Schumer backing something
Chuck Schumer, the New York senator who's going to be leading the Democrats, right?
Yeah. This is like unlike Harry Reid, who basically stopped everything from happening. But I think that Chuck Schumer will have to understand they lost a race, and why they lost a race was because they didn't care about working America, and I think that's the group that we have to worry about. As far as the money for the wealthy, look, no matter what happens, if it's lowering corporate tax rates, the wealthy are going to benefit by it, and typically what they do is reinvest the money back into society. So I think that all of that is to create jobs. The key here is to create, look, we have something like, Neil, I think there's 400,000 people working at Home Depot. These kids have not had a break. These kids are making less money than they ever did before because more is coming out of their payroll. And I think that that's who we're concerned about, working America. And I think that
Barack
Trump
Obama said
it.
that it's easy for companies like Home Depot then to raise their wages. You say what?
Well, come on. Barack Obama never worked for a living, so he doesn't have a clue of how you make money in the retail business or any other business, nor did Clinton, but that's an old show, and we don't want to go there anymore. The key is, I think that he's done a brilliant job in bringing people into this administration who understand that what the economics are. We do have a national debt we have to deal with, but let's look at some of the things. But how would you get it under
control, or would you? I mean, we're looking at, like I said, almost $20 trillion. You can partially grow your way out of it, but you can't do that entirely. What would you do?
Neil, I think that, number one, I don't think they're going to knock the debt down in a short period of time.
I agree.
I think that money has to be invested in the economy, and I think that cutting back and not creating the jobs is not going to do it. So I'm not going to worry about the deficit at this moment.
When you invest in the economy or invest it back, like you say there are a lot of people who are criticizing what Trump has been doing with these companies now, trying to prevent them from leaving. Conservatives have been saying, Bernie, hey, that's playing favorites, no different than this president favoring solar companies like Solyndra. You say what?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think that his mind is in the right place. And look, he can threaten as much as he wants. The truth of the matter is that everything has to go through the Congress. I think what he's saying to these companies, which I think is critically important, is part of the reason you're leaving is because your taxes are too high,
right.
number one, which is major. Number two, Neil, we don't know what the regulations are costing these companies. It's unbelievable. I speak to bank presidents. I speak to CEOs all the time. You cannot believe what the cost of regulations is accomplishing in this country. It's stifling business. So what he's saying is, hey, look, guys, think about this twice. I am going to get rid of regulations. I am going to bring the tax rate back. Why do you want to leave? Now, if they need a little push on the side by saying, you know, you're going to be punished for it, et cetera, I don't think that's the critical part. I think the critical part is we're going to lower your taxes and get rid of the regulations. You're going to be able to, the reason you're leaving is for those two. So why would you want to leave?
Do you think that what Donald Trump is doing as a president-elect is a sign that he is going to be really off to the races on day one when he is sworn in? Now, that goes into a weekend. A lot of people seem to take it as a given. He's going to work right through the weekend. He's going to have a very busy 100 days, and that's what everyone's expecting. Are you?
Donald, this Donald Trump has more energy than anybody I've ever met in my entire life. I think that he works nonstop, and I think once he starts on something, he's going to finish it. And I think anybody who's joining his administration is going to work the same way. This is not going to be a laissez-faire type of thing. It's going to be high-priced, high movement, high definition, and high results. And he wants results, and he's going to see it. Listen, if you go back and you look at the races and you see how tight these races were in Colorado and Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, all of these races were very, very close. The American people have basically said to Donald Trump, look, we're going to give you a shot. You promised all of these things. If you could produce it, we're going to put you back for the next 4 years after this. If not, you're not going to get it. And I don't think that's the reason he's doing it. I think he's doing it because he wants to really, I think it started out as a kind of a lark, but I think that right now he's got a chance to do something. He really has an opportunity. Donald, he's made great moves so far. I mean, I'm overjoyed by the moves that he's made, especially education.
Yeah, some very promising signs there. Always good talking to you, Bernie. Thank you very much. Bernie Marcus.